Okay, my YouTube people, it's time to get the oil lines back on the knuckle to keep this thing moving forward. Again, I can't stress how important it is to clean stuff. Not only did I put this in a solvent tank and wash it out real good, then I sprayed brake clean in it real good, and then in the end I put carb cleaner through it and then blew it out with air to make sure to get it ultra clean. Only one of the lines had a little bit of dark stuff still come out of it, but most of them were clean. But it's super important to do that step. So now let's get them on. This line here takes oil pressure out of the pump and puts it into both of the rocker boxes. You just want to take a rag and make sure you wipe off anything that are on any of these fittings. I did have tape on it. There is just the slightest amount of tape goo. So I put a little carb cleaner on the rag and I'm just going to get that tape goo off of this fitting. That certainly gets it off. Same with this one and this one. So I can see just by looking at it, looks like I'm going to have to tweak it ever so slightly. Not much at all. When I'm doing these, I like to leave everything loosey-goosey. Real loose so you have a little movement and everything. So that was pretty straightforward. To tighten these up, these are 9/16. Again, I'm just going to go around, lightly snug everything, give it the opportunity to move if it needs to. Before I pull them up tight, I'm going to back them up. That way the fitting doesn't spin down into the aluminum and crack the aluminum. That one down there, it was 1/2 inch to back it up. These are 5/8. Now I'll go to the tubes that connect the oil tank to the engine. First one I'm going to do is this line here. It goes from the inside of the oil tank over here to the engine, and that's the vent. This one is for air equalization so that you don't have pressure build up in the oil tank. Any of that air that builds up pressure as it's heated, it will come down here, go into the engine case, and then is vented out the other side of the engine to atmosphere. Like I said, I start a few threads and then line it up. And then once you have a few threads started on each side, you just tighten it up. The fitting nut here is 5/8, and that's my backup. And then the oil line nut is 11/16. Up here at the tank, it's just the 11/16 nut that's on the tubing. And there is no way to back it up, so you just want to be careful not to go so hard that it breaks it off the oil tank. Like I said, this is air, so there's not really any pressure here, so you don't have to go crazy on this. Now if that one's tight, I'm going to put the oil return line on. This comes down off the back side of the pump. It's the fitting that's higher. It goes to this point on the oil tank. You can always back thread it a little if you're unable to get it started. Alright, I have both of them started. Again, the tubing nuts are 11/16 and the backup down below is 5/8. And I just saw that fitting turn, so that means I need to take this back apart and put a little bit of Teflon paste on that fitting so that I don't have a leak. Now I have a little Teflon paste on that fitting. I'm going to put it back in. You want to put this in, but you don't want to go overly tight. This is a pipe thread, which means it is tapered. The further it goes in, the tighter it gets because of the taper. So you can easily crack a housing with this. And also, there's not a ton of pressure here. This is the oil return. So you're just kind of pushing it into an empty tank. You just want to tighten it enough that it doesn't leak. Alright, that feels good to me. Now I'll go back in with the tubing. So the threads were feeling just a little stiff as I was screwing the nuts on. I just put a little motor oil on them to help them thread on. Definitely want to make sure you get at least a turn or a turn and a half before you have to put a wrench on them to know that you're not cross-threaded. You cross-thread these and it's new tube time. Again, I'm not having to force it. This is just going on real easy. Now that I have them snug, I'm going to back it up and tighten them up. Now this last one is the oil feed. Comes out of the bottom of the tank and goes to the lowest part on the pump. And this part here sneaks up under the transmission. So hopefully it goes in without too much issue. Oh yeah, no problem. It's just about there. It's a lot easier when you go in the right way with it. Okay. I have to take the tape off of the fitting. So the oil supply line goes on this fitting that's right here. And it goes on just by putting it right under the transmission. It's very simple. And there it is there, kind of up on it. So I'm going to start that one first. So this one's going on very, very easy. Now I'm going to put it on at the back here. You can see the tubing's plenty loose. Alright, before I tighten the front one up, I'm going to just leave it loose like that. It is on there, but it's kind of tight back in there, and I just can't get my fingers in there. So I'll just bring it up with the wrench. And this is a flat at a time. I really can't back this one up. Again, there's no pressure on these lines. This is just the oil feed or the suction of the pump. So you don't really have to over tighten this stuff. You just want to tighten it enough that it doesn't leak. This hole right here gets the pressure sender. But before I put the pressure sender in, I'm going to prime the motor through that hole. And when I'm ready to do that, I'll have a video for that. After the pressure sender gets in, you put this wire on it. And that lets you know up on the dash when you have low oil pressure. So there you have it. That's how you put the oil lines on, all 4 of them. The feed, the return, the vent, and the feed up to the rocker boxes. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And hit that notification bell. That really helps my channel. So if you like the content you're seeing, it doesn't take you but a second, and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.